So the labor theory of value is the notion that all value is created by physical labor, by physical work, that everything around us involves changing reality through physical work, and that the essential of taking something that's valueless, I don't know, a plot of land where shrubs are going, and turning it into a thriving patch where you're growing vegetables for sale in market. The essential thing that makes one valuable is the physical labor that goes into it. Now, I think that was a somewhat reasonable proposition pre-industrial revolution, when life was really primarily a physical struggle with the environment in which you lived, where it was mostly farming, where there was very little trade, where there was some craft, but not a lot. There's some plausibility to this notion, and it's very perceptual. There's a plot of land, somebody's working really hard, sweating a lot, there's vegetables, right? But once the Industrial Revolution happens, and certainly once the technological revolution we live in today is happening, that should be, thrown out the window, and it should be repudiated quite easily. Because particularly with technology, you can see that it's not the assembly in China that is providing the value that is an iPhone. What provides the value, which is the iPhone, is the intellectual work. It is the thought. It is the reasoning. It's the rational capabilities of the engineers, of the designers, of the people who design these little chips. And indeed, much of the physical labor is done by robots, which somebody designs and somebody puts in the right form. So all of that activity, I think today, more than ever in history, is obviously intellectual. It obviously comes from a rational, reasoning mind. And remember, it couldn't be emotional, right? Try building a computer based on emotions. Try building a computer based on mystical revelation. You can't. The only way to engage in any of these activities is through the use of one's reason. Observation of reality, understanding the laws that function in reality, integrating that knowledge, and discovering new things and then applying it to new circumstances. You could already see this in the Industrial Revolution. You don't create the steam engine, the internal combustion engine. You don't figure out how to use coal in order to generate electricity. You don't discover electricity through physical means. So once the Industrial Revolution happens, it becomes obvious that the real source of value is the human mind. The real source of value is the reasoning individual. It's the person who's thinking, the person who's discovering, is the person who's observing and integrating the facts of reality constantly. So it's the intellect that is the source of all value. Physical labor is just one small manifestation of it. Now, this is also true in the pre-industrial revolution era, just it was harder to see. But the fact is that we have no gene that compels us to take weeds and turns them into vegetables. There's no innate knowledge that provides us with that. That is something that we have to think about, figure out. So it's a real intellectual effort. And indeed, the differences between one patch and another patch, one farmer and a separate farmer, is not a difference in how strong they are, how big they are, how many muscles they have. It's a really difference of how smart they are. Even in the Middle Ages, even 5,000 years ago, intellect is what brought us values. We have no instinct for hunting. We don't know implicitly how to make clothes. Somebody has to figure out a strategy for hunting. Somebody has to figure out tools. Somebody has to figure out weapons. Somebody has to lead the party that goes hunting. All of this requires the intellect. So from the very, very most primitive of values to the most complex values produced today, all human values are ultimately product of the intellect, products of reason, products of the mind.